listings like cheap. All right, we're live. So welcome to Your Home, Your Move. What's happening in the Los Angeles real estate market? Want to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, my name is Michael Mosby. I'm with New American Funding. I've been in real estate finance for over 20 years. I've been a licensed loan officer for over 11 years. I've been working with Luis Sanchez for quite a few years, closed a couple nice deals. We have a couple buyers on the market, and I try to help him with his listings.
All right, cool. And my name's Luis, real estate broker. So let's get right into it. So today, this is for prospective buyers and sellers and people who just own property to know what's going on in the market, give you the latest insights. So today we're looking at the home selling cancellations, 2 articles in Redfin and Realtor.com. We'll look at some market news from the Association of Realtors, and then an article in the LAS, the LA City Council ADU proposal. Okay, so first the articles on Redfin and Realtor.com. So from Redfin, home sale cancellations see a big rise. 1 in every 6 SoCal transactions fell through. It says that 15.6% of transactions, were canceled. It also says that most cancellations were due to the inspections or buyers backing out because they saw something else on the market that they wanted to get. A quote from the article: in just about every transaction, buyers have one foot out the door. Buyers feel they have the upper hand, and when sellers push back, buyers simply walk. Before we get to the next article, what's your initial reaction to the cancellations that are taking place?
I'm seeing it firsthand. I think 3 out of my last 4 closings for buyer financing, this was not the first escrow they were in. They were in an escrow previously, and they told the seller that it was because of the home inspection, that something was wrong with the property. But in actuality, because inventory is going up, buyers have more options. So once they got their offer accepted, they didn't stop their home search. They continued to find a better deal, better price per square foot, property in better condition or whatever. So it's exactly what I'm seeing on the market.
Okay. So typically, just so for those who don't know, a buyer will do a home inspection. They'll pay for their own private inspector to inspect it, get a list of things that are wrong with the property, then ask for a credit or ask for those things to be fixed, right? So if you're a prospective seller, what you want to do, especially in this environment, you want to have that home inspection ahead of time. Have the home inspection ahead of time. That way, it's already done. There's no surprises are going to come up. When you have the home inspection, you can address some of the items or else disclose it to the buyer so this issue doesn't come up later on. Okay. All right, so let's look at the next article. Delisting surge nearly 50% as sellers who can't get their price quit the market in frustration. It talks about how this is nationwide data. It talks about the same article, talks about the similar situations of things canceling. And in June, 20.6% of listings had price reductions. It should say since it's the greatest number of reductions since 2012, right? Reducing price. There's more active inventory. There's more homes for sale than actually since any time since the pandemic. So we're like at the pre-pandemic levels. And the median days on market is 53 days, a longer time on the market. So what are your thoughts on the fact that there's more homes for sale? What does that mean for a prospective buyer?
Yeah.
If there's more homes for sale, prices are going down and taking a longer time to sell.
Well, to answer that question, you want to look at the opposite market. What was happening in the opposite market where sellers had the advantage because inventory was so low, the buyer just had to accept whatever the seller was offering. The sellers would be very specific when they accepted the offer that I'm not crediting you for any repairs. And if you ask me for it, we're going to cancel escrow. And we're going to find a buyer who's going to pay more than you, because that was the environment previously where the sellers just had all the advantage. They had 5 or more offers, sometimes up to 10 or 15. So buyers were at a tremendous disadvantage. In this market, buyers have more choices. And this is exactly what I'm seeing. I know we talked about this during kind of the planning process of this slideshow and this podcast, but you guys who are watching this, feel free to comment in the section. What have been your experience on the market? And what questions do you have about kind of what we're talking about too? Leave a comment and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah. And this is live on YouTube, but it's going to come out on all the other social medias. We do want to see the comments on the other social medias. So you may be getting the recording later on. We do want your feedback. Okay. So just if you're considering selling in this environment, These 26.6% of the properties, they didn't list their property at the market price. They most likely saw a Zestimate online or some kind of online algorithm that gave them a price, and they believe that as that price. So they listed above the market. If you are actually considering selling the property, you want to actually compare apples to apples. You ideally would like to compare your property, similar square footage, similar lot size, and also similar conditions, similar materials used, and also similar qualitative factors of the neighborhood and the property to actually compare. Online algorithm doesn't give you the actual value; it just deceives, unfortunately. All right. So market news. So mortgage rates change from time to time, and as the mortgage rates dipped last week to 6.77, that generated more mortgage applications, and that generated more refinance applications. That was last week, and then this week I got an email that the mortgage rates have increased a little bit, and that has been a result of decreased applications. So the rates, as rates move slightly, it affects the number of applications.
Right.
All right. You want to go over this right here or the next one?
Yeah. So this just kind of corroborates exactly what Luis was talking about. I poked around at a couple of the bigger real estate markets in Southern California where we do our business, but Glendale, California kind of showed more than the other areas kind of what's going on. The median list price has decreased over the past 12 months. The median price for new listings, sellers who are figuring out that their property value isn't going up, that value has gone down. The price per square foot has gone down. Average days on the market has gone up. Property decreases when it's on the market and the seller decides to decrease the property. Those percentages are going up. And then inventory is, like Luis said, at an all-time high. So this was a really good kind of market snapshot of one specific market that we do business in.
Yeah. And then every community is a little bit different. It's a little bit different. So if you want the actual market data of your specific neighborhood, feel free to reach out and we can get you that information.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then, where's it? You want to go over this?
Yeah. So this is a very general look at the bond market that most closely controls interest rates to, again, corroborate exactly what Luis was talking about. This goes back about 12 months, quite a ways in the mortgage market. And as this specific bond loses value, which is red, the rates are gonna go up. And the green is positive, and you can see that it's been pretty volatile over the last year. A lot going on in not only domestic but with wars, really affect interest rates. Inflation, kind of some bad news that we got. Inflation isn't moving in the right direction for Jerome Powell to start reducing the Fed rate. Fed rate controls mortgage rates, a lot. We are seeing some positive movement in the rates, in the last week or so. But rates are generally good. Right now, we're under 7%. We're by 6.75 is like an average interest rate right now, which has led to a lot of refinances. Two of the deals that I have in the pipeline right now are refinances, which they bought at like 7.5%. So 6.75 is a great reduction for them that can actually take some cash out of their property as well, because property values have gone up considerably over the last couple of years.
Okay, great.
And if you wanted a specific rate quote, like Luis said, if you wanted a specific rate quote, feel free to comment and we can get back to you about what your specific interest rate would be with what type of transaction you want.
Okay. And the rates have been for the last 3 years between 6 and 7, even though every year there's projections that come out that the rates are going to be dropping or dropping a little bit, dropping significantly. Now they're saying to drop a little bit. We don't know where the rates are going to go. And, waiting, I'm not sure if it's the best answer. We'll talk about that later. Okay. So in insurance premiums in California, we had those fires and the rising construction costs. So the cost of insurance has gone up 21% just from last year. It has actually gone up more than 3 times from previous years, just a couple of years ago. I remember I had insurance for just like $700 a month. Now the average is almost $3,000 a month in California.
Yep.
So my initial projection, I mean, not mine, but just the general. It's in the news with the ICE raids. There's less less labor for construction. That's going to increase the cost of construction. As the cost of construction increases, I think that the cost of insurance is going to go even higher. And so, how does that affect buyers when they're pre-qualifying for a mortgage?
Yeah, Luis, that's a great point that I never thought about as far as the ICE raise and how that would affect the cost of labor. We've seen it. When I live up in Santa Clarita, and there's a nice stretch of highway that goes out to Ventura, and there's all these farms that are around, and people are always working the farms. The last 2 or 3 times I've gone out, there's like nobody there. So that's definitely going to affect the economy. Usually for a regular pre-approval, when we're looking at a first-time home buyer or, someone who's buying a second home or a rental property, we usually plug in we used to, before the last couple of years, we were plugging about $100, maybe $150 a month, $2,000, a little less than $1,800 for an annual homeowners insurance was a decent estimate. And now we're plugging in $250 to $300 a month. So you need to make a little more to handle that debt, which is lowering the qualification level just because insurance is so expensive. Obviously, after you get your offer accepted, you're going to shop around to the insurance brokers and try to get a competitive quote. Maybe it can get a little lower than that, but we are seeing it affect qualification, because the biggest thing about qualifying for a loan is you have to have the income to handle the debt. And when the debt of that property that you're buying goes up because the insurance you have to pay for goes up, then you're going to qualify for a little less.
Okay. And as people qualify for less because of insurance, that's going to be less qualification. We'll see how that affects the market. It may be affecting the market right now.
I would think so.
The other issue is sellers, according to a recent survey, more sellers are now on the sidelines, not interested in possibly moving. Typically, the average is about, if people stay in their home by 11 years. Right now, in the recent survey, 73% are not considering selling. The reason is because they don't want to have higher mortgage rates. They don't want to go from 3 to 6 or 7. And also they don't want to increase their property taxes. As you go higher, if you property a long time ago, you have low property taxes due to Proposition 13. So if you move in now, it'll cost you a lot more. So many people are planning to stay in their homes for 15 to 24 years. That's a lot more than the average of 11. And so I guess the question in California, we have not, even though we've had another day, we'll talk about, there's a lot of construction, but it's not enough construction to meet the demand. So not enough construction for the demand of growing population. Sellers don't want to move. People who own homes don't want to move. So there's a lack of inventory, not enough construction. People don't want to move. So, how does that, what do you say to buyers who want to buy in Southern California? Few people want to sell, and not enough homes being built.
Right.
Message to someone wants to buy. It's a challenge.
It is a challenge. It's a real challenge. I think there's kind of 2 levels of challenges that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. The main challenge that you're talking about is when someone is selling a property and they come to me to get finance for their next property. And when I quote them their interest rate that they're going to get for their new loan on their new property, it is almost a deal breaker. At that point, there needs to be a lot of education as far as, hey, if in the next 5 years rates go down, you're going to see a flood of new buyers, and your property value is going to go up by so much because we're going to be in a seller's market again. That's appealing to some sellers who are looking to buy a property. But man, like you said, that interest rate and property taxes as well. They bought the property that they currently have for like $300,000 or $400,000. Their tax bill is only like $300 or $400 a month. Now they're buying an $800,000 property, and their property taxes are $1,000 a month. Like that's tough. I 100% get that from people who are selling a property and buying. The easier conversation is for first-time home buyers. That's why I tell all the realtors that I work with, I love first-time home buyers. I love taking them through the advantages of building equity and tax-deductible mortgage interest and not wasting your money on rent. And how long have you rented for? You've wasted all this money. You were probably qualified 5 years ago. For first-time home buyers and people who are currently renting, it's a much easier conversation to have in this market just because of the generational wealth you can gain from home ownership. For sellers or people who are looking to buy investment properties, it's tough sledding.
Yeah. And just on a quick note, they don't want to move because of property taxes. This is the only state that has Proposition 13. This left-leaning liberal state. Other states that are much more conservative. I've owned property in Arizona. Their property gets reappraised every year. We have a property in Texas. The property gets reappraised every year, so people pays more and more property taxes in those more conservative states. And I don't know. Does that because people's property taxes don't stay low in those states? Does that make their market not increase so much?
Right.
California, we're one of the highest increasing states of home. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think because our property tax rate coupled with our property values are so much higher, that's the big deterrent. So if you look at Texas or Arizona or maybe Nevada, our neighboring states, they do have lower property tax rates than we do. 1.25%, is what we're looking at. It's I don't know, it's like 0.5%, I think, in Texas. Like, even though they get reassessed every year, they don't have the amenities that we do. They don't have the beach and the mountains and the Hollywood and Beverly Hills and Inglewood, and we got all this stuff going on here. It's great, and you get what you pay for in whatever market you're buying. So I think with property taxes, comparing it state by state, it equals out, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that thought. Let's move on to survey by NeighborWorks. In spite of high prices here in California, uncertainty in the economy, half of adults want to buy a home that don't have one. And according to the survey, they are actively preparing. By 72% are saving for their down payment. 53% are cutting spending. 34% are taking on extra jobs. And these are the things that I guess they feel they have to do to be able to qualify. Only 13% of city people in the city of Los Angeles could afford the median price in LA, 15% in California. So if someone's been saving for a while, and they're unsure, should I look into the market? The interest rates are high. What's your message to them?
Yeah. I mean, all three of those check boxes are super important towards home ownership. Obviously, there are down payment assistance programs in the state of California, and almost every state has some type of down payment assistance program. But the fact of the matter is, if you're buying a $500,000 house and coming in with no down payment, that's a really high mortgage. And that's what people are trying to avoid by saving. So saving is very important. Cutting spending is also very important. Cutting down high interest credit cards as quick as possible, even before you start saving for your down payment, I think is a good strategy. Obviously I want you to buy as soon as possible, but getting rid of those, 10, 15, 20% credit cards is a great first step. That taking extra jobs thing, that is a really good strategy, in my opinion, that most of the time you need to be on that second job for 2 years in order to help qualify and use that income to qualify for most loan programs. So don't think that you can have your cool 9-to-5 job and you start doing Uber for a month, or you take a second job in another industry, and then in that month you're going to qualify for a higher loan, because usually you need to hold down 2 jobs for 2 years, because it's hard to hold down 2 jobs, especially if it's taxable income, filing that income on your taxes. A lot of people kind of do it for a few months and then quit. They do it seasonally, either summer or holidays. We have to see it for 2 years most of the time. But all of this are good strategies for preparing to buy a home.
Yeah. As well as, just thinking about Dave Ramsey. He talks about, not buying a new expensive car just because you got that great job, you're making a lot of money. That car is going to be a big impact if it's on your tech credit report in terms of qualification.
Yeah,
I'm not bragging here, but we have 4 properties, my wife and I have never in my life. I'm going to be 50 years old, 49. I've never owned a new car, never in my life. Always like used. So I mean, that's my
I'm sure that's helped you not only with qualifying, but in your personal family budget. That's hundreds of dollars you're saving a month. Yeah. I bought a Prius in 2011 or 2012. I'm still rolling that. Just took it to the maintenance shop, and they were like, "Wow, this is one of the highest mileages we've seen. You kept the car in great shape." That saved me $500 a month for the last, like 6 years. Like that's a considerable savings.
Good for you. Good for you. That's nice. So next, LAist article, the LA City Council proposal. So regarding the ADUs. So this is the article, priced out of LA homeownership. City Council proposal could allow the sale of cheaper ADUs. So in the article, it talks about right here, this picture. Someone has a main home and they can add an ADU. They can split the lot and then they could make two sales, sell the ADU and sell the home. This, they say, is going to make it affordable for more people in Los Angeles, where the affordability rate is only 13%. This originally was a state law. Now that it's a state law, each city has to individually pass it. San Jose was the first one. The council member says there are many more households where it's just one person or people without children. Azine Kalmalak from the Abundant Housing says you can perhaps build an ADU and sell it and stabilize your own finances, keep that property in the family, and pass it on to your kids or grandkids.
Yeah.
And according to the article, we will only have 30% of the approvals of the whole goal of the city for 500,000 new units by 2029. 41% are ADUs. So what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on?
Yeah. I mean, when you send me the slideshow, it was the first time that I heard about this. When you buy a single family residence on one parcel, it's been known for a couple of years, especially in Southern California, that ADUs or accessory dwelling units would help with renting. You can rent it out and then help with the mortgage payment. Have somebody else rent the place out for $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, regarding what neighborhood you live in and the quality of the ADU, and help pay your mortgage. Freddie Mac and FHA now allow, when you're buying a house, to use the rent from that ADU to help you qualify, as long as in that neighborhood there are other ADUs that the appraiser can go out and figure out, okay, you're going to rent it for $1,500. There's 3 or 4 other homes that have ADUs. They're renting theirs out for $1,500. We'll give you about $1,500 of additional income a month to help qualify. Like that's a new guideline that came out in the last year or so with Freddie Mac and FHA. So I would definitely want to know the cost of, number one, segregating your parcel into 2, and then the permit timeline and cost of permitting an ADU as a single family residence. There's certain codes you have to meet as far as minimum square footage and plumbing and everything needs to be up to code. Of course, that's going to add great money to your family budget in the long run, but the upfront cost, I'm really interested to learn about that myself.
Yeah. So we will see, as every city, I'm sure, is going to be different. We shall see how accessible it is for people. So just a quick note, someone that I spoke to was an older woman, and her daughter and her son-in-law, they cannot qualify to buy a property in Los Angeles, as most children who grew up in Los Angeles are projected to be moving to the Inland Empire. That's what the USC Kasdan report says, because they can't afford it in LA. And she said, well, why don't we build an ADU? But she could not qualify for mortgage. She doesn't work, and she doesn't want to give the property to them or son-in-law, put in his name. So then what the suggestion was why not put the property in a trust? Put the property in a trust, add them to the trust, have them get the loan, get the mortgage for a construction loan, have them qualify for the construction loan, and then after they have built the project, go ahead and remove them from the trust, and she could get through the property, the loans in their name, and they have a nice place to live in Los Angeles. And so we were able to connect them with a trust attorney. We connect them to a contractor that does ADUs, could help them with the plans. And so if you are considering doing something like this, you want to build an ADU, you don't know how to go about this, you can use our network and resources, so you can get learn more about it and have professionals to help you with this type of situation. All right, so we'll see how this works out, and we'll see how the financing will go for that.
Very interested to find out.
Financing for that. But hopefully it is more affordable and more people could actually own their own property. So
Cool.
I put this slide because time is ticking. Time is ticking on this. It's already 25 minutes. But the longer, if you are living in Southern California and you don't own a home, the longer you wait, it just shows, the data clearly shows, the more expensive it's going to be for you. Property values go up, as I said before, 6% per year. So the price of the property is going to increase. Your property taxes are going to increase. The property share, your insurance is going to increase. And it's just best if you have your job, professional job, you're getting a good income, you're saving your money, might as well just look at what you qualify for, look at the options that you have, and then after you've seen properties that you can qualify for, decide, is this for me now or should I continue waiting? Any final words, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than available for that. I would say over half the clients that I speak with on our initial consultation, they don't, really start looking for properties for 3 to 6 months. Some of them have that concern that Luis just talked about, that I'm not ready yet. These prices are too high. It takes them a while to go to open houses and really, work with a professional realtor like Luis to go through the house and figure out, okay, it's not new construction. It's going to need a little work. Like, what am I comfortable with? But a very key part of what you're comfortable with when you buy is what's that monthly payment. And a licensed loan officer like myself is really the only one who can tell you specifically, if you were to buy this house today, this is how much you qualify for. This is your interest rate. This is how much cash you're going to have in order to close. And here's what your monthly payment is. And that's a very important piece of information as you're going through open houses. You really want to feel, okay, this is what, $3,000 a month feels like, as opposed to $3,500, or what $6,000 feels like, as opposed to $5,000. Like, you need somebody to give you that information, and it's really integral. So we're more than available for that.
Yeah. So our contact information will be here, and all the links of all the videos that we post related to this. You can follow on social media. There's download PDFs. There's YouTube playlists for buyers and sellers. You can email and book a call, a one-on-one or Zoom call. Our information will be in the links. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you saw value in this, like, share it with someone who would benefit from this. Comment, subscribe to any of the social media. Thanks again, Michael, for coming. We look forward to more episodes.
Thanks a lot, Luis. See you soon, man.
All right. Take care.